number one, if you don't mind going to slide 2, Vivian.
Yep.
Really the purpose of this call is for customer base management. So this is something that was brought up during Vincent's President's Club, where he wanted to ensure dealers understood how to seek out which customers have yet to pay. Disregard the TW, that's actually for Twins Wireless, which I'll be reviewing this deck with them tomorrow for Corey and Darren. But a lot of customers, and when I say customers, I mean VHA dealers, struggle, and it's not just VHA, struggle with identifying which customers have yet to pay their second month billing. So the best way, in my opinion, is pull the second month refill rate report, where they can drill into the details report, add a couple of columns, and figure out who is yet to pay within the 50 days. So I cannot stress enough how important for everybody to understand it's a rolling 50 days from the activation date. Just last week, I received a call from a PBR dealer in the West region, and they had paid $1,000 out of pocket to ensure they were above the 78%. Lo and behold, it turned out that $1,000 payment was for customers who were outside of the 50-day window. Obviously, we had a very upset dealer that felt that they paid $1,000 for no reason. And obviously, that's why it's so important to really understand this report. So step one, you need to find the second month MRC refill rate, and that can be found here. The screenshots that I have here are pulled from the owner portal, and we will be going through a live demo in a little bit from one of the VHA's dealers who shared their portal with me, so we can see what it looks like. I highly encourage, if you have large PBR partners that don't know what their login is, you get that resent or refreshed, because I come across quite a few dealers that have over 10 doors that don't know that they have the multi-door login, surprisingly. So next slide, please, Vivian. Step two, as you will see here, the month that you select is when the second month refill would occur. So by selecting September here, you would be looking at August activations. Okay, as we know, August 31st, they have until October, around the 20th, to make that second month payment because of the 50-day rule. One slight change that I have to update this deck on is the MRC count that you see, that filter. I would now change that. Instead of saying view all, I would modify that to the percent of second month refill. In the past, we had the 40 count for the PBR, which is what this report was initially created for. Now, since then, we've removed that 40 minimum threshold permanently, as you guys may have heard on the dealer call a couple weeks ago. So step three, I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty of this, only because I know it's not easy, especially if you don't have a login access. Since this is a larger PBR partner with multiple doors, and this is the multi-owner login account, you will see the SFID for each one of these locations. After you've clicked refresh and you pull up all the data, you want to hover over to the right there in the red circle, view activation detail. Okay, next slide, please. So after clicking refresh, you want to download results. This is where it starts getting a little tricky for those that don't use Excel, and I've had some FAMs just come out and say, hey, you know what, Eric, I don't use Excel that much. You're going to need to show me how to walk through this. You guys all will receive a copy of this. Since there could be quite a bit of data on here, we compress it in a CSV file. That's comma-separated values, and there's a specific way in which you need to download it in a .txt format. Otherwise, the ESNs will be rounded up, and you won't be able to use that as an identifier. I've even had large 20-door PBR partners that didn't quite understand the importance of taking their POS data and merging it with the ePay data. So these next couple of slides will show you how to download this, and I'll show the live demo in a little bit, and just it's not going to be something that you learn overnight. I highly encourage you guys to practice this, especially if you don't feel comfortable with Excel. I can go side by side. I can take a call in person while you guys are at the dealer level and get with their commission analyst. However, highly encourage that once you train them, it's going to make everyone's life a lot easier. So next slide, please. So by downloading it, you want to show in folder rather than opening it up in Excel. Okay, this is the only way to actually download the data where you're going to capture the ESNs without it rounding off. Just a little quick tip here. I personally prefer using Google Chrome. It seems to run a little faster in my experience on both back office, multi-owner portal, or even our backend login through the web DMC. So after you downloaded the data, you want to show it in the folder. Next slide, please. You want to open up this document in Notepad. So like I said, I'm getting into the nitty-gritty here. Next slide. And once you open it up, I had to block off all the ESNs because this was live dealer data. I wanted to protect their information. It's going to look like a bunch of gibberish with a bunch of commas. And in doing so, you want to save this as a .txt file. So you click on File, click Save As, and you can rename it, next slide please, to whatever you like. Whatever that dealer's SFID is, terminal ID, whatever makes it easy. And you want to change it from a .csv file to a .txt. So next slide, please. And from there, after you've saved it in a spot where it's easy for you to find, whether it be in a desktop or in a folder, you want to open up Microsoft Excel. You want to find the file, click Open, and you want to search for it in all files in a non-Excel format. So you want to make sure that filter for all files is selected, seek out that particular file name, and click Open. From there, next slide, please. From there, the text import wizard will take you through how to set this up. So you want to select the radio button for delimited, click Next. Then on step 2 of 3, you want to make sure that comma radio button in the upper left-hand corner is selected. By doing so, every time Excel sees a comma, it's going to know to change that particular cell into a particular column or row. So from there, you click Next again. And the most important part here is you want to find the columns for both the ESN as well as the subscriber ID. Not so important with the subscriber ID. Not too many dealers will utilize that, let alone master agents. But the most important part is changing that column into text format. So you want to click on the column, click Text, and then click Finish. This will allow a dealer to capture that ESN in the full 18-digit code, and they can actually use that as an identifier when merging with their POS system. I understand some of these dealers may not have a POS system. They can manually input it if they need to merge with whatever system they may be using to track their sales. Okay, from there you want to click Save in an Excel format, and you can go to the next steps. So next slide, please. From here, my recommendation, and it's not necessary for you guys to take notes. I'm going to take you through a live demo, and I'm going to explain why I go about doing this. I will say that this is not the only way to get the data. However, this is probably the best way that I can explain it and how I would tackle it if I were a dealer myself. So I've already asked my team to build in additional columns to help easily identify which customers are within the 50-day window, which customers are outside of the 50-day window. Also, by pulling this data in early, we can see how many days into the month the customer is in to their pay cycle, and the best bet is to reach out to these customers between the 26th and 30th of the bill cycle. Okay, so this is where Ryan, not to call you out necessarily, but I think if we built out a template where this is a VHA exclusive template where you guys can have somebody type in today's current date, also add in a couple of columns which will help them calculate that. This is what the next couple of slides will do. Okay, so I'm not proficient in macros. If you guys want to build something out, more power to you. I think until SBG built it into the EPA reporting, I would find quite a bit of value in this to help simplify this for the customer that may not even have Excel. So from here, I typically cut the activation date column, and then I insert it next to the second month payment column. Okay, so I put those side by side, also format those cells to a particular date. So next slide, please. So from here, I'm going to insert a new column and help calculate how many days from the second month payment it took for the customer to make that second month payment from the activation date. I change the column to a number format, click OK, and next slide, please. And from here, I insert a formula to help calculate that. It's a simple equal sum value. Subtract the second month payment date from the activation date, and anything above 50 days, it's outside of the window for them to get credit on the second month refill rate. Anything below that, they will receive credit on the second month replenishment. I do want to have everybody bear in mind, even if it's outside of the 50-day window, they still will receive the second month new activation bonus, so long as they're above the 60% currently. Okay? So from here, you're going to see, in this particular scenario, it took 36 days from this customer, from the activation date, for them to make that second month payment. So this would help drive up their second month replenishment refill rate. Okay? Next slide, please. So in the past, we still had the 40-day rule. This particular filter helps a customer filter it out. But like I mentioned earlier, by filtering out the MRC count and just taking into consideration the second month refill rate, this is no longer a necessary step. Because if somebody activated in April, you will see that they may have taken a second month payment in September, for example. So we can go ahead and skip this slide. Oh, and that's all we have. So I'm going to go ahead and move over to Vivian's computer, and I'm going to give you guys a live demo of what this looks like if you were inside a dealer store or outside of a dealer store working remotely with their particular commission analyst. So I may have been timed out of ePay at this point, so give me 1 second as my mouse driver software downloads here. See if I'm timed out here. Let's see, do you still have that open?
Yeah, notepad.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and select, let's see, September's activations. So I'm going to select October 15th. There's been enough time for that month report to populate. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to change this filter to percent threshold, so we don't have to worry about that 40 minimum requirement here.
And October 15 is technically October 2015, right? That's what.
Correct, 2015, correct. And feel free to stop me if, for whatever reason, this is moving too quickly or you guys aren't able to see the screen. Let me see if I can expand this a little bit. Okay. So from here, we'll go ahead and pick one of Skylar's locations. And we'll go ahead and download the results. I'm going to click cancel. I'm not going to mess with your other files.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. This is odd using somebody else's computer too. I did save it on desktop, right? From here, like I mentioned on the text import wizard, you want to select the limited, click next, click comma, click next, and you want to seek out where the column shows the ESN.
You can close this. I'm okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Close it?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Remove the files?
Yeah.
Okay. So from here, you're going to see you have the whole ESN here. And what I like to do is I like to take the activation date, move it next to the second month payment, and to add a couple of columns. And so this is where I would lean on VHA if you guys want to create a template where a dealer can just dump this data in, and this would remove these two steps. I have asked the ePay team as well as our internal replenishment team. They do have it on phase 3, but they have about 100 priorities on there. So between now and then, I really think there'd be quite a bit of value in having a template like this for dealers. So from here,
make a template on.
okay, thank you. This is going to be awesome. So from here, you want to calculate one of two things. There's going to be some customers that have yet to make a payment, and then some that have made the payment, and you can drill down to see if it was within 50 days. So here, days to second month payment. And let's say it was the current month and we selected something else. What I like here is to call out what customers are still within the 50 days that we can reach out to. So from here, change the format to a number. Otherwise, it's going to show up as a date. So in this particular scenario, this customer paid within 31 days, so this would help drive up their second month replenishment. Okay.
Can someone put themselves on mute, please? Thank you.
Thank you. So you're going to see these with a negative. Anybody down here? Let's see, for no pays, days until. So what I'm going to take this right here, you can figure out who's outside of the 50-day window and who has yet to pay. So what I go here, typically filter out all these that have a negative. These people have not paid a second month replenishment. Okay, so I back those out. And I understand, right? If you're not comfortable using Excel, this is where I think Ryan and team are going to build out a template so you can disregard this portion. However, I think it comes in handy for you to at least understand how to pull the data in and how to manipulate the data. So from here, I'm going to put in today's date, 12/7/15. Let's see, AB. I forget what that was. So Ryan, you understand the logic behind it, most importantly, right?
Yep.
Okay. That's all that matters for anybody else watching this right now. It's like watching paint dry. So you can easily identify anybody that's outside of the 50-day window here. And this will match up. I'm going to back out to this right here, the refill rate. They had 82 activations and 73 qualified second MRC. So you can take a look at that and scroll over. So their second month replenishment is 89.02, which is well above the 78%. And I'm going to scroll back over to a demo here. So how they come about that is there are 73 activations that are qualified second month MRC at 82. And so that's how you get to the 89.02. So really, like I mentioned at the beginning of the call, the purpose is who are the customers that the dealer can reach out to. They can filter this out for anybody that has a blank, has not received a second month payment. They have the ESN. If they happen to log a separate phone number, email address, obviously it only makes sense to reach out with them within the 30 days. Otherwise, they'll be hotlined and they can't reach out to them. But if they happen to have a secondary number, they can go ahead and incentivize them, whether it be with a screen protector at 90 cents to come back in. I feel it's well worth their investment to drive that customer back in. So this is something I would recommend a dealer pulling up during downtime, having their sales reps manage the customer base management, reaching out to these customers, incentivizing them to come back in. So obviously outside of the 50-day window, full disclosure, right? Dealers are going to figure it out. They may decide to pay out of pocket within the 50 days, whether we like it or not. At least they know who falls within that category to make that second month payment and how it works. Okay, so obviously this deck is as exciting as it can be when reviewing Excel, but I just want to make sure everybody understands how to get the data, how to pull it down, and how to capture the ESNs. Because what I'm finding is a lot of these dealers don't understand, they don't even know where to begin as far as finding out which customers have yet to make their second month payment and which ones have not. The last piece that I want to leave you with here is there is about a 3 to 4 day lag between a payment and it actually showing up on the second month refill report, right? So some customers that understand it, work it to the best of their ability. They know that who's paid it. I know Skylar is a prime example of somebody who's really dialed in. And I can give you countless examples of dealers that are not dialed in with this. I would say probably somewhere upwards of 99% of the dealers don't understand how to manage the customer base management with this. So a lot you can do. I know VHA Eureka has a project as far as helping out with the appeals on the back end. That's not the purpose of this call. The purpose of this call is just so dealers understand how to work the CBM. So with that said, are there any questions with this particular piece? A deck will be shared with everybody out there as a step-by-step, and if you need a one-off tutorial, you guys all have my contact number.
Hey Eric, it's Ryan. Will you send me the spreadsheet you got up so I can make it into a template?
Yep, I'll send it on over after the call.
Thanks, boss.
My pleasure.
Hey, Eric, it's Kevin from Northeast.
Okay.
So for us, if we select July 2015's report, you said it shows the second month's payments that was received in July?
July and even bleed over, right? It's going to capture all of June's activations. So the report month that you pull is for the preceding month's activations.
Okay.
So
and that were activated before, if the second payment was received in July, it'll still show up on the same report, right?
It's one of two things. If you use this filter that I showed earlier to only show percentage threshold, it will only show the prior month's activations. So what I want to make clear for everybody on this call today is since we have a comp change January 1st of 2016, SPG will be using October's activations to decide which new act comp tier the dealer will have as far as payments in January of 2016. Because we have until December 20th or thereabouts to lock in the 50 days from October 31st. Does that make sense? So whatever you guys do, I like to be consistent when I talk about it. I talk about the activation month. If you guys want to refer to what report, right, then obviously you would have to change this to November's report. So I know some people prefer using that to mitigate any confusion with the dealer whatever you like, whatever floats your boat, have at it. So, any other questions, Kevin?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. We are working on the back end, Ryan and Eureka team. Eventually, a dealer will be able to download all the raw data for all doors rather than pulling for each individual location. So that is in the pipeline.
Hey, Eric, this is April. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
My question is, when you're looking at this multi-door report, is the only way to pull it up on their Salesforce ID number? Like, how do I know which location is which if I'm not familiar with their Salesforce ID number?
If the dealer happens to know their retailer ID, terminal ID, or account ID.
They're probably April, it's Mike. The most common one that they'll probably know is the terminal ID because it's on their web pause. So if they scroll down at the bottom of their web pause, usually the terminal ID is there.
Okay.
And the business address is also listed in the column.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
My pleasure, anytime. Thanks for the question. Don't be shy, guys. If you guys have any questions, now is the time. If you guys have feedback, please do share. I'm constantly submitting ideas as far as how we can improve this report. I'm excited to have a couple other things implemented in here as well.
I have a question. It's Mike, guys. If you look at this, scroll down to your right. It's supposed to be based off of 60%, right? But it says 78 for the goal. I'm assuming that's for the PBR. Is that correct?
Correct. That's our enterprise goal.
Okay. So the only reason is just I have had a lot of questions on how that calculates, and if they briefly look at this, this kind of throws them off. So if they're only trying to look for their second month MRC rate, and it's supposed to be 60 at the minimum, they're looking at this and they get kind of confused. I don't know, like, if you guys are planning to separate it. I doubt it, but.
So this view, from my understanding, they're working on a couple of things. This goodwill credit is another piece that we've received credit or feedback on. This is one that's going to be removed. As far as the 78% threshold, that's kind of the target. So are you saying to remove it entirely or have it show 60 rather than 78?
No, I was just wondering because the question comes in if their minimum is 60 and I know they're gonna try to exceed it regardless, and that's our goal. But if they look at it that way and they come back and they're like, I think the numbers will calculate wrong. Well, I don't know. Maybe I got to figure that out.
What do you mean that it will confuse the dealers? Like, what confusion have you seen in the past with the data presented this way?
It's not that the data is incorrect. It's if they were. I'm trying to remember the scenario.
So what I even like to do is I like to head back in here.
Hey, Mike, it's Matt Blaylock. I don't think with this new structure in January, I don't think the 78% is going to be as impactful with saying that's the goal. With the chargebacks and the way the commission is now, 60% is definitely very impactful, whether they're getting chargebacks or not. So in the past, that's been confusing, but with this new structure, I don't think that setting a goal is going to be as confusing as it would have been with the chargeback periods and those types of things that they've done in the past.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't catch who that was, but it does bring a good point. After July, we will not have chargebacks because we just didn't pay second month replenishment. Now, why is this report even more important heading into January? Because of the tier system. Dealers are really going to lock in 3 months in advance really what their comp structure is going to look like. The activations that they're performing or they performed last month as well as this month in December, that second month replenishment rate on those 2 months will impact tax season. So it will make or break the busiest time of the year for these dealers. So if you look here, you can filter out anything that's outside of the 50 days, as well as anybody that doesn't have a payment. Looks like Skylar's in tune with this. 73 activations out of 82, and that's where, keep me honest here with the number, 89.02. So any other questions out there?
Hi, this is Ivan. Can you guys hear me?
Sure can.
Hey, I have a quick question. What if a door has a 0 selling month? What is their first month commission going to be based off of?
Is this a
2 months
brand
there.
new? Is this a brand new door or a door that's an existing door that's been with us?
An existing door, say.
So outside of the 4-month ramp-up period?
Like for instance, I have a door that was 0 for October. So what is their percentage going to be based on for first month in January?
If
Or, I'm
they're
sorry,
at
in
0%,
the
yeah, October is the activation month. You're correct. They'll impact January. So they've been onboarded for greater than 4 months. I just want to confirm that.
yes.
Then they would be at the new tier of 0%.
Okay.
And the 4 months is from the prepaid open date.
Correct. It is from the prepaid open date, which also stresses the importance of having an accurate prepaid open date in SPG systems.
Mhm.
I'm
The
sorry,
good
Eric,
news is-
Bobby.
I missed
Hey,
that.
Bobby.
So what's the ramp-up period?
4 months for a brand new door. So they'll be locked into tier 1, the 80 to
Okay.
100% second month replenishment rate. They'll get that multiplier out of the gate. So that's a good news story.
Okay, great.
You
Thank
said
you.
they would get 0%, I'm sorry?
If the door's been open for greater than 4 months and they didn't sell anything, then they would be at 0%.
Okay.
Hey, Eric, this is Bobby. I had a question similar to Ivan. I had a door that had a situation where they were closed for construction for about a month. So same situation as Ivan. They didn't have any sales because they're actually relocating into a new location that they were building out, and that's why they were CFC for that month.
Can you send over the specifics of that dealer so I can get ahead of it, please?
Okay. Well, it won't affect us now, but in that situation, did we just reach out to you right away if we have a situation like that?
I would get with the ISM on it as well, so we can get with the
Okay.
reporting team to see if there's anything we can do. And that also raises another question. With some of these ownership changes and master agent switches, the dealer needs to understand they potentially are inheriting a lot of the bad stuff from the previous owner as well, good and bad, right? Residual is great, but if that previous owner really tanked it in the second month replenishment, you may not want that historical data tied to you. That's going to be part of my new talk track when you guys ask me to transfer residual. Any other questions in regards to this?
Eric, this is Ivan again. I'm sorry, I have a quick question. I have a door, Kairos Land in Santa Ana. They had a month with 3 activations. When we pulled up this report, I believe it was for the month of October. When we pulled up this report, it showed nothing. And in the report that you had sent me as well, I saw 3 activations. So,
are you talking about the DLAR?
I'm sorry?
Are you talking about the DLAR?
Correct.
Go ahead and send me the SFID offline. We'll go ahead and pull the report, and then we'll look at that together.
Okay. Thank you.
My pleasure.
So Eric, I have a question. This is Vivian. So for the dealers who are, what I'm worried about right now are the dealers who are going to be getting 0% in January. And it's based off of their October activations. Is it too late right now, or what can we do to foresee who those doors are? And I think you have a report on that, but specifically, is it too late to make a difference to the numbers?
Generally speaking, the answer is no, it's not too late, but it's relative to how many activations they have.
Exactly.
If they had 2 activations and both have ported out, the answer is too late. But if they're in the 70% and they're trying to get to 80%, depending on the volume and who hasn't paid, they do have until December 20th, right? 50 days from October 31st.
So what I'm...
If they did a ton of activations at the end of October, it is possible.
Yeah.
If they only sold in the first half of the month, probably not.
Got it. So my suggestion was maybe either Ryan or I don't know if it's Eric, is there any way that we could get a report where we could find out who these dealers are, the most current report that we have, and identify the ones that we can possibly make a difference on? And that would probably be from now until December 20th as the go-to action, because those are the dealers who can still save at this point in time. But if we can save them now, great. If we cannot, then there's almost no point in calling some of those dealers until later and having, hey, Mr. Dealer, heads up, you're not going to get any commission.
It sure can, and I don't know what team or department would own that. It is available through the access into back office through VHA.
So maybe, Mike, we could take this offline, talk with Ryan a little bit, and see what we can do then.
And obviously, I would go after the low-hanging fruit, right? Not the guy that had one activation.
Exactly. So, Ryan, what are your thoughts on this, or even Sam, RSM, ASM's on the call? Would this even help you guys, or is this maybe something that there's other suggestions you guys have?
Hey, this is Matt. I don't really have a solution to it, but I think my biggest concern and some of my dealers are currently right now, this report's tracking, 50 days out, but after that 30 days, if they're disconnected, there is no way of contacting.
Hi, this is George. I'm sorry, I was trying to look for my unmute
button. Sorry, can anybody hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead,
I hear you,
Matt.
George and Matt.
Okay, so anyways, I guess for me, it's just putting plans together with my dealers on how we can really implement a callback system with the 25 to 28 days. Just because a lot of my dealers are saying this report, when it comes down to the 50 days, is kind of useless to them if they can't get a hold of them. So I didn't know if there was anything on the back end that was getting put together on maximizing the 30-day time period, because that's really the most important. I don't know how important it is after that if we can't get a hold of them.
I agree completely. That
So
extra
Matt,
20 days. Go ahead, George.
No, Matt, there's dealers know what commissions they get paid, and those commissions are paid usually within a week of the activation. So that, to me, is probably the first starting point in assembling a list if they don't already have a POS system. So certainly I get exactly where you're saying. I've heard it before, and this is a little bit late. So if they really want to track their activations, certainly I think the sales portal has some information, but they'll know what they get paid on through ePay by pulling the commission reports off of there. I'm pretty sure it has the phone number. If you want to just build a database of
sorry, George, you're kind of breaking out a little bit. George, would you mind maybe repeating that? I think for me, you were breaking out.
Okay, sorry about that. So what I was saying,
I know he doesn't have Sprint. Connection. Not Sprint, at least. That's a bad connection. Yeah.
Got it.
George, you may need to dial back in.
Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, but this report can be pulled at 25 days or whatever, and it'll show whatever's been done to that point, right?
You got it. You can pull this daily if you want. So that's the beauty of it.
So
I recommend a minimum of twice a week. Minimum. That's my personal opinion.
Hey, and Eric, you said that how many days does it take to upload? You said, was it 4?
There's 3 to 4 day lag from the actual payment.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Matt,
George, I think you need to get closer to the window.
Hey, George, can you kindly hang up and call back in?
And reaching out to customers who haven't paid. So my suggestion is that dealers. Okay.
Hey, Eric, this is April. Can you hear me?
Okay. Let me.
Sure can.
Sorry, I just I wanted to know if you had any tips because I've noticed some of my dealers at the beginning of the month, like let's say on the first of the month, they want to pull this report to start calling customers that their bills due on the first of the month. And I've noticed a lot of the times on the first and second of the month, the report isn't uploaded yet.
So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can go back in and use that as an example. Obviously, we're, 7 days into the month, so it's not going to replicate it. So let me find out. So
usually on the first of the month when I'm visiting stores, I want to show them how they can pull this data up so they have everything for the entire month. But I know for this month, like all 5 stores that I went to, the data wasn't available yet.
So you're talking about November's, right?
Correct.
November's activations?
Right, so that way they can get a jump start for the first few days, who they can reach out to before their service is interrupted.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if there's any tips on that.
Here's my talk track on that one. POS system. Have them invest in one and reach out to those customers. I think that is the realistic response. Or they can also look into see their commission payment detail to see who's paid right on that and who has not.
Yeah,
I think
that was exactly the point. Yeah, that was exactly the point I was trying to make. Is that commissions get paid out within a week of the activation. So to build a database of your active reach outs, if you don't have a POS, that's the first starting point. Unless you're manually collecting that information on each transaction. I don't know how else you would do it.
Yep, I agree. Good question, though. Thank you.
Hey, Eric, it's Bobby.
Hey, Bobby.
Quick question, I'm sorry. Some of my dealers tell me that for barred accounts, they're able to email the customer at their phone number at boostmobile.com, and then some say it doesn't work. Do you know that there's a cutoff date on that where they could still email the customer at that number?
I don't know off the top of my head, but let me find out.
Okay.
Any other questions? So you guys all feel comfortable pulling this report down if we asked you to then, right?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So that's pretty much it. Also, how much time do we have left, Vivian?
We have until another 20 minutes.
Another 20 minutes. I did ask Vivian to see if there were any questions on the new compensation structure. I don't know if any questions came in. If you guys have any questions, I'd like to utilize this time to address any concerns, questions, or even feedback regarding the comp change.
Eric, it's Kevin again from Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
Quick question on the report again. If customer changes to daily plan on their payment due date, would they still show up on the report somehow?
They will show for the first month that they switched over to that. Yeah, and I think you sent me a note, and I literally just cut and paste the response from my team on that one. So you're asking, will it negatively impact them for second month MRC if they switched on 30 days from the activation date?
Right, but will they even show up on the report at all if they change
They will.
to daily plan?
No, it won't show on this particular report that they switched to a daily plan. No.
Okay.
But would it show up on the report?
It will show up as an activation in that prior month, yes.
Got
because
it.
I'm assuming they activated on a regular data boost plan, correct?
Right. Right.
So let me follow up to see what happens, how a dealer can identify that.
Would the base plan identify it as daily?
No, that's the activation plan.
Got it. So it won't even show anywhere then?
It won't show anywhere.
Got it.
But what you will see is, hey, second MRC, it'll show that it's still active. And I don't know whether or not it would show as a dash in month 2, and it won't negatively impact them.
I've never seen daily or activations on that.
You've never, but they activate on the MRC.
Yeah, they activate MRC and then.
But then they switch
it.
over.
Then they
right?
switch is the issue, yeah.
I've never come around a scenario like that.
So I hear supposedly some customers will do that rather than being hotlined if they can't afford the full month. They'll pay day to day to keep their line on. And then if they can save up enough money, they'll switch back over.
But you said it won't negatively impact the numbers.
Let me confirm how that reflects in this report.
Okay, got it.
Good question, Kevin.
No, thank you.
The answer to that question, Kevin, is your dealers are getting the wrong customers.
I have dealers in Baltimore.
I like George's response. Any other questions in regards to this? Really keeping up on top of this, we have dealers that are very proactive and pull this list down. And during downtime, if it's between 4 and 5 before everybody gets off work, they have that particular rep call back those customers on day 27, 28, 29. And that's really how you can increase the second month replenishment. That's the best way, in my opinion.
No, that's proven, Kevin. That's Eric.
Yeah.
Are there any rules against how the consumer can be contacted? Like it could be a callback, it could be a text. Any things have you seen that common, maybe most effective?
So
solutions?
As far as rules, see, I mean, the PC answer for me with the corporate hat on is if you're text messaging your base, like a mass text message, I know of another POS system that actually has the customer sign a waiver on the spot that they can receive those text messages. Now, does every dealer out there without a POS system do that? No, they don't, realistically. Calendar reminders, 5 stars is a program I know VHA is on board with. Highly recommend using that. And then as far as calling back a customer, you can't sell them anything. So you can incentivize them, hey, come back in, make your payment. Don't forget your little gift that you get for coming in, what have you, right? But you can't proactively sell them according to the government.
Got it. Thank you.
Anytime.
Hey, Eric, this is Matt again. So maybe I missed it, but the VIP program that they're signing people up with, their emails and those types of things, are there any plans in place to are there payment reminders included with that program as well?
So I like the term Premier Program. That's actually what it's called. The Virgin uses the VIP program. So, but let's see. In regards to that, reminders, they have the 14-day grace period after they've been a paying customer for 5 months. But there is no reminder outside of what we normally do to tell them to come back in. Are you talking about text message, or what are you referring to?
Yeah, text message. I mean, we do have those dealers that say, hey, someone came in past their due date and they were upset that they had to, there's the normal issues with customers. But I just want to know if there was, any payment reminder text messages or emails with that captured data to get them to come in, even though they have 14 days past that period. So sometimes it causes conflict, but it'd be a nice addition if they was hey, your bill's due.
Let me provide the feedback to see if there are any plans to do something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe a different question I'm going to ask. Is there any reporting needs from the team, from sales team out there, based upon the data you've seen, based upon maybe the dealer base that you know of? Is there any reporting requests that you might have or in mind? Since we got Ryan on the phone, we can't promise you all reports, but at least if there's any reports you have on your mind.
Hey, actually, Ryan, I had a question. I sent an email out a couple weeks ago. I haven't heard back yet. I know that you guys are busy, but is there a way to track for our growth partners individual rep level second month payments? I've got some dealers. One of my growth partners are changing his commission structure around to have individual reporting, and that's how they're getting paid, just to drive that behavior. So is there something that we can put in place or something that they can do in order to track that individual reporting?
So we can do rep level second month refill if they have wireless standard set up. It's probably going to be something that we're working on in the integration process. So it's on my list of things to do, but that would be the only case where we could provide rep level reporting, is if they're signed up with B2B as far as visibility.
Now, he is getting set up on it, so is that a future program, or is that something they can do now?
Well, I mean, they can do it now if they are fine with Excel, because it's really just tying their POS transactions back to this report that Eric just showed. It's something that my team is going to work on with IT and try to get worked out. So I've already brought it up to Sean. I'm sorry, I thought I responded to you, so I apologize for that. But yeah, I kind of ran it up the chain, and it's something we're going to be working on and hopefully get launched out. But so more to come as we kind of put it together and figure out the details of what it's going to take.
Awesome, thank you.
But it's absolutely possible for them to do it if they have somebody that's good at Excel. I mean, they can pull down the web report from B2B and then tie it into this, and that'll basically give them their rep and who's refilled. But for us to do it, it's something that's coming.
Okay, cool. They can cross-reference them with the phone number. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that should work.
Okay, perfect.
Ryan, just a tidbit, some dealers may also set up individual logins for sales portal. I'm not saying that data is being shared everywhere, but I do know some dealers use that as well, so it is an option. So no questions on the comp change, guys. I will be reaching out probably to the top 10 PBR partners to kind of get their feedback. Handset margin has been the one that I've received the most feedback on. If you guys have any questions about the structure or how exactly it works, now's the time, or if you feel more comfortable reaching out offline, you're more than welcome to give me a call.
And on the same note, maybe if you guys found this type of call helpful because we're all on it together, we have Eric as a resource, then if you guys send me a separate email or you could voice your thoughts now, we could set up another time with Eric and talk specifically about commission and handset margin and all the changes. So you guys could think about that and let me and Eric know.
Eric, this is Anna. I have a question on how regarding the phone pricing changes. How does the margin adjustment work? That's what I'm getting a little confused on. And I've also heard some feedback from the dealers as well.
Okay, so there is an Excel grid out there. I don't know whether or not you've received a copy of it. Vivian, do you happen to have a copy of that? You're pulling that up? Okay.
Yeah.
So give it a second while we pull that up. It's a 4-tier structure. So I would separate it by 2 different categories. We have the promotional handsets, and I'm using air quotes here in the office, non-promotional handsets. And I'm not talking about port-in eligibility, but more so of the Q4 and what we'll call the Q1 promotional spiff. So depending on the SRP or the out-the-door price, whichever is lower. For the non-promotional handsets, the SRP price is the out-the-door price. And if